Hi, it's iEvolv. Thank you for being here. I'm sitting outside today. It's the first time I've ever done a session outside. It's because I'm in a little apartment where the wall between the bedrooms and the rest of the apartment is only 3/4, and my son's still sleeping. But there's neighbours here and there's mosquitoes, so I'm not sure how much privacy we're going to get. I want to talk today about how when there is a false flag, how that can be exploited by those that know it's going to happen. So for example, during the 9/11, or just prior to 9/11, there was massive shorting of the airline stocks. And shorting, if you're not familiar, means that you're placing a bet that you know the stock price is going to go down. And so there was massive shorting, like somebody knew that the airline stocks were going to go through the floor. And of course that's what's happened, because nobody wanted to fly anywhere after 9/11. Also, it opens up the possibility it can be exploited in another way, which is insurance fraud. So if you know something's going to be destroyed, but it's going to be sold to the public as a false flag, like something that was totally unexpected, then you can insure it knowing it's going to get destroyed and you'll get insurance money. And this is exactly what happened with the 9/11 towers. So there were 3 towers. Did you know that? Did you know that actually 3 towers collapsed on that day? And all of those towers were leased by the same person. I'm not going to say names just so I don't get kicked off of YouTube, but let's just say that if you look this up, it's very easy to find. They were all taking out at least a 99-year lease on the World Trade Center towers, including the 3 that fell. So the 2 Twin Towers and Building 7. And the lease was taken out just 6 weeks before 9/11, and then they were insured for $7 billion 2 weeks before 9/11. So then 9/11 happens, and the insurance that was taken out was really specific, like terrorism insurance or insurance for getting hit by an aeroplane, like something really specific. But it just seems very shady that they were able to have the foresight to insure for this particular thing 2 weeks before it actually happened. So the lease on these 3 buildings was like $3.3 billion for 99 years. But the insurance was for $7 billion, but they didn't get it all. So they ended up getting like $4.5 billion or something like that. So essentially, they made $1 billion from getting an insurance payout on buildings that collapsed when they knew the buildings were going to be destroyed. Insurance fraud. Now, I've started this way because I want to talk about insurance fraud that has to do with the Titanic. Someone said in a comment from my last video that it was interesting what I said about how the Titanic was related to the Federal Reserve Act. Well, the Titanic was also a massive insurance fraud because they knew it was going to sink. And so they took out insurance against it. But it's even more diabolical than that, because JP Morgan, who owned and built the Titanic, he built another ship at the same time. So they had these 2 shipyards side by side building these 2 different boats at the same time. And the other boat was called the Olympic. And the Olympic was completed about a year or something before the Titanic was. And so it was in service prior to the launching of the Titanic. But in its very initial amount of time, it got into a collision or something like that, and there was severe damage to that ship. And so while they were able to repair it enough that it could still sail, no one would insure it because it was just a wreck waiting to happen. It was just, anything is going to sink this ship because it's damaged so severely to like the sort of the substructure. So what JP Morgan did was he swapped these 2 boats. And so the boat that sank, being that we know as the Titanic, wasn't the Titanic. It was his other boat, which was the Olympic. And yet it had been sold to the media, through the media to the public, as the world's first unsinkable ship. And guess who owned nearly all of the media at the time? JP Morgan. So he used his newspapers to convince everybody that this ship can't be sunk, knowing that he's going to sink it, and therefore it became very insurable. Because who is not going to insure the unsinkable ship against sinking? And really, in actual fact, it was the Olympic which was destined to sink. So multiple things were accomplished during the Titanic event because he got rid of the Olympic, which is this damaged boat. He got a massive insurance payout because he was insured as the Titanic, and then the actual Titanic had a like multi-decade career of seaworthiness and making money under the false name as the Olympic. It's diabolical, these people. And then also, all of the main opposition who were powerful enough to be able to derail the Federal Reserve Act were on board, and they went down with the ship in 1911, and then the Federal Reserve Act came into being in 1913, literally 2 years later. So it's all related. Okay, so I'll leave it there. I just hope that was something that was interesting for you. And I'll just give you an update. We're all great here in Mexico at the moment. I'm going to a vet today to get the next lot of papers and things I need to get my dog into the next country. And we've now 2 flights down. We have 3 flights to go. Everything is well. I'm happy. My son is happy. The dog is happy. So thank you. I've been thinking about you guys a lot. I really wanted to do this video earlier, but just moving around so many cars and taxis and buses and so on. And there's lots of administration I have to do in each country for Bengo. He's down here. Okay, look, here he is. Always near my side. All right. Okay, so thank you very much, and my apologies for being a little bit late, but I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.